Hey guys, this is Stormcrow again. I wanted to do a follow-up video on the basic LD and loft guide that I started the other day, and just try to cover some topics and some random questions that I've gotten. So this is kind of going to be a catch-all video, but it's mostly going to relate to loft and LD. But I'm going to start off in heavy because I want to demonstrate vertex jumping, and I think it's better done in heavy, but I will do it in light also. So vertex jumping, in my mind, covers a few different techniques related to curiosities in geometry. So starting off with this little lip right here, if you walk on it, you notice that I don't slowly traverse up, I just teleport up there. So if you hit that while you're moving, you get a decent little speed boost. It's not as pronounced here, it's better when moving, so I'll probably demonstrate that again in light. Where this is notable is if you're trying to get up to, say, the top of that tower. So if I throw that pack and I'm jetting up there the conventional way, I'm using a little more than half of my energy to get up here for, the average jump. I'm not the best jumper. Things are going to vary a little bit. But if you notice as I'm walking against this, I'm sort of bouncing upward a little. Well, we can use that to our advantage. Oh, and I totally botched it right there. But you can sometimes use that to your advantage to warp yourself up that wall. And now we've gotten up there. I used about half of my energy again, but you can usually get up that wall with, still 3/4 of your energy left, depending on how many dead stops you hit on the way up, what kind of big boost you get. So that's kind of a helpful way if you're trying to climb, say, a big tower to get a sensor on there, and you're in medium, you don't have a lot of energy because you just disjumped all the way out there and you're trying to set them up in a hurry. Just little tricks like this, I think, can really help out. And then once we're up here, I can also demonstrate the next part of vertex jumping. So first, I'm going to try to do it without. And what I want to do is get to the top of that hill right there, and I just want to see my speed. So if you look in the upper right-hand corner, I've got my sensor warning bar, my energy, and my health, and then I have a speed bar there. So I'm walking at 18, 27 forward, and just pay attention to that as I'm bouncing across that surface, and then about that surface, and then about that surface. And we'll see how I do without vertex jumping, and then we'll see how I do with it. So I'm going across, I'm looking like I'm at about 126 was my peak, and I crest the hill at about 101. So let's try that again with vertex jumping this time. Wait for full energy, and what I mean by vertex jumping here is that I'm going to bounce off of that surface and then immediately bounce off of that surface in a slightly different direction. What that'll do is that'll allow me to ski that tiny micro bowl between those two pieces of terrain. And you'll see that it's got a moderate effect on something like that, but we've got a really good effect here. And what's really interesting about vertex jumping is that you can pick which direction you end up bouncing off in. So this first time I'll go the standard route, and then I'll also show you that using the exact same route by vertex jumping, you can actually redirect over to that side as well. You can go straight, you can go across, you can pick which sides. It's a very flexible tool, and I just about always use it when I'm getting around in a fat suit because I don't have any other way of getting around in a fat suit effectively. I'm terrible at it. So here we go. Again, we're watching that speed HUD. So I'm already at 138, 140. We've already reached our peak, 137, crossing this about 117. So that was about 20 kilometers per hour faster. And that was just after hitting two of those vertices. And then I'll hit it again on the way down, bounce across that little vertex, and you can hear the ski sounds, which means that I'm not losing any speed as I'm hitting that spot. A little too much speed, actually. That's, like I said, I'm not that good at that suit. So now I'm going to wait for my energy to recharge. I'm going to hit that same vertex, but instead of continuing on that route, I'm going to bounce that direction instead. Again, just to show you that even if it's not the optimal fastest way. It's not going to be as fast as skiing a bowl. It's still a very handy trick when you're skiing routes. So we're hitting that one like normal, and then here I instead want to redirect myself this way. And I'm not using up a whole lot of energy. I still crested this hill at about 117, so about the same speed I had about that point, even though I ended up getting up higher. I think it's a little shorter distance. So yeah, obviously it's a neat little trick, and it can really help you, especially as an LD, when you don't always have the most control over which routes you're taking. You can't always ski that nice perfect bowl. Sometimes you kind of have to make do with whatever vertex you can. So generally, this is Rain Dance, the map that we're playing right now. And your primary routes are going to come from this direction because you have much more of the map left over here before you hit the out of bounds grid. Hit the out of bounds grid with the flag, you immediately drop it. So as we're over here, there isn't a lot of terrain. There are no bowls for a capper to hit the flag stand and then redirect himself this way. You've got tiny little ones, but it tends to be pretty low probability. And then this tower also has really good snipes on you as you're going that way. On this side of the map, though, you've got a lot more options. And so generally speaking, cappers will come in from this direction, grab the flag, and then hit any one of these bowls to redirect. So most all of your caps are going to be from this direction. Anyway, if you're playing on the flag stand, playing up here is nice and fun because you've got your downward mine discs that I talked about in the first video. They're very easy, you've got good visibility, and it's a small enough area that Ho are generally going to have a hard time landing mortars up here to kill you. If they land one on the front surface of this tower, like right here, they're not going to do any damage to you unless they're very close to the top, and then the mortar explosion will kind of wrap around and take you out, which kind of sucks. But generally speaking, you're going to be up here. But if I lose an engagement, say the capper manages to mine disc me, and I have to jump in here and chase after him really quick, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to hit that vertex, hit this disc jump, and then take that other disc jump there. And you'll notice I'm going fast enough that these turrets aren't even able to target me, and I'm here. So depending on the timing of that capper, I can usually either beat him to the flag stand, or as he's rounding this corner and kind of getting comfortable, kind of letting his guard down, I'll be coming over here, and I'm able to get the drop on him most of the time. Again, it really depends on the timing and what specific capper you're working with. How awake their LD are. If they've got a good LD and a good sniper over there, they're generally going to pick you off. But it's still a really good intercept route. And the basis of it is hitting that vertex right there. Because you bounce off that first surface, and then you bounce immediately off of that second surface. And it's not just that saves you some speed. It's also that it allows you the power to control yourself as you're bouncing off. So I'm just hitting 145, not really even trying anything here. And it works the same way on the way back. You can see that it redirected me much higher than I normally would have gone. So likewise, as I was kind of working the same way with the vertex jumping, you can also bounce off these lips if you need an extra little boost to get over this hill in order to get a high angle on a heavy offense or a light offense you want to ambush over here. Generally speaking, if there's an LO or an O sniper on that hill, you can usually get the jump on them if you're up high and they're zoomed in, because they won't be able to see you. So they've got this very narrow field of view, and they're generally looking down low. So if you manage to get above them, 9 times out of 10, you've got a really easy mine disc on them. You can kill them immediately. With heavy offense, as I'll cover, if not in this video, then in the next one, kind of depends on how a few things work out. Your best bet is just to hover and then rain as much damage down on them as you can. And there are specific angles you need to be at so that you avoid what you just saw there, which is chaining my mine, and then still striking the balance of being as far out of his chain gun range as possible. You want to occlude his vision with all these explosions and all the red flashes and everything from your damage output, etc., etc. The other really important thing is maintaining the proper distance so that grenade mines are going off um, without you having to adjust your aim for them. So if I'm chaining a guy right here, I have to look up and miss with my chain gun until I can get back to the target in order to throw those grenades onto the heavy offense. But if you're hovering at just the right angle, at just the right distance, you can keep on chaining as you're raining all of that damage down on the same spot. I'll demonstrate that right here. Well, I don't even think I can demonstrate it on the flag stand. So much of tribes is just instinctual that it's actually kind of hard to understand, hard to explain unless you're doing it. So if I'm right here, yeah, so this is going to be landing at his feet. If I can hit the right button there, I hit my cable instead. But the nade mines are going to be landing at his feet, and the chain gun is hitting his body, and all of that is hitting him all at the same time without me having to adjust my aim. So I'll get into deeper detail with that a little bit later, but I think that about covers vertex jumping.